Do you know people who seem extremely competitive and courageous and who are sometimes confrontational and downright belligerent? People who are perhaps even quarrelsome and aggressive and sometimes overconfident? Do you want to learn how to deal better with this kind of people? Or do you sometimes wish to have more courage and assertiveness yourself, but without becoming an aggressive person? The psychological key to understanding these character traits can reveal itself in the warrior archetype in the tradition of Jungian psychology. We give you this key and tell you also how to recognize the personality archetype of the warrior and its unbalanced manifestation, that is the dissocial or antisocial personality disorder, and give you tips on how to deal with this type of person in an optimal way. At the end of the video we will also tell you how an unbalanced warrior or someone suffering from the dissocial or antisocial personality disorder can bring the personality back into balance. The archetypal warrior and the dissocial or antisocial personality disorder in 10 points. As explained in the intro video of the series, it is important for the healthy psychology to focus not only on the pathological manifestation of a personality trait, but also on its positive qualities. Therefore, we will take a closer look at both the dissocial or antisocial personality disorder and also its positive counterpart, the warrior archetype. All characteristics of an archetype can be derived from its personality traits or the so-called meta-program, which in turn can be derived from their position and equivalent in the meta-model of the psyche according to Stefan Fiebig. The special feature and strength of this archetype model is that it represents the basic structure with which the 14 personality archetypes are simply and ambiguously defined and classified with their personality traits. It is a natural and logical structure that can be used for numerous applications, such as, for example, a model for effective communication for hypnosis, coaching or psychotherapy, and it can also reveal useful cross-connections between them. As an example, we will show you right away the links between personality archetypes, the hero's journey, and the structure of a successful undertaking. Point 1. What makes the archetype of the warrior tick? The archetypal warrior belongs to the choleric temperament. He is apt to be confidential, and his main interests are challenges. His basic needs are power and influence. The warrior archetype is convinced that it is necessary to assert oneself in life, that everyone fights for themselves and that the weak will perish. Point 2. The strength of the warrior archetype. Bravery, courage and assertiveness are the main qualities of the warrior archetype. Furthermore, he is completely in his element in risky ventures and competitions.
What are you worth today?
There's people buried in the desert for less than that. You know, you must think I trust you or something with these kind of. How much are you worth? How much are you on? What's your wage? What's your monthly wage?
I asked the questions, and so I want to know.
Connor, can you tell us what you're going to do with the titles? Dana said today that you will keep the featherweight belt up until this fight.
I'm going to wrap one on one shoulder, I'm going to wrap the other on the other shoulder, and you're going to need a fucking army to come take them belts off me. And one's going to be there, one's going to be there, and I'm going to be picking and choosing who I want to destroy next, and that's it.
My socks were worth more than your whole suit you had on, you little bum. You broke. I'll gut you like a fish, you tick.
But when you're talking about fighting as it is, with no rules,
real fighting,
well then, baby, you better train every part of your body. And when you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit, hoping not to hurt any camera angle. I mean, you gotta put the whole hip into it and snap it and get all your energy in there and make this into a weapon.
Point 3. The warrior's weaknesses. The warrior archetype tends to be belligerent, aggressive, overconfident and destructive. In addition, he can even be dangerous to the public. It is not in his basic nature to show consideration for others. Point 4. How to recognize the warrior archetype. There are some characteristics that allow us to recognize the warrior archetype as a personality trait. For example, he cannot be intimidated and is always ready for confrontation. He can fight back very quickly, position, and in extreme cases he opposes others as a matter of principle. He is always looking for new challenges. Anything without challenge is boring to him. He is bored easily. The warrior archetype can easily be confused with the archetype of the king, whereas the unbalanced form of the king is narcissism or the narcissistic personality disorder. There is also a risk of confusion with the guardian and the trickster archetype. These are the archetypes associated with the paranoid and passive-aggressive personality disorders. The motorcycle stuntman Evel Knievel is a clear example of the warrior archetype. Evel Knievel is well known for his attempt to jump over the Snake River Canyon. In his life he had 38 accidents and experienced a total of 433 bone fractures.
I've just got a normal broken back, you might say, and I'm going to fly to Montana in the morning and recuperate for a couple of months.
The doctor at the hospital said you'd have to take it easy for 2 months. Can Evel take it easy for 2 months?
No, I'll be back on that motorcycle within 30 days, and I'll be back on the golf course in about 2 weeks.
Tom Cruise is also a good example of the warrior archetype, because he does all the stunts of his movie roles himself.
So he jumps, that speed, that momentum. Here we go.
Look at...
And now watch that. Watch this.
I knew I broke it instantly.
So you're down. Now anyone else will go, well, that's over. No. Up he gets. Up he gets. And he's running.
Point 5. What are a warrior's reactions in conflict situations? Warriors have 2 defense mechanisms and accordingly 2 typical behaviors how to deal with conflicts. The first defense mechanism is displacement. In this case, the fantasies and impulses are displaced from the person they were originally directed to onto another, so that the person originally meant remains untouched. For example, aggression against an authority figure is taken out on a dog by berating or kicking it. The second typical behavior is reaction formation. In this defense mechanism, the unwanted drives are covered up by opposing feelings or motives. A detested person is praised and placed on a pedestal, and the attractive and appealing person is called a slut. Point 6. The warrior in mythology. The warrior archetype, like all personality archetypes, is a basic pattern of human experience. We find the archetypal warrior in many myths and fairy tales. For example, Ares in Greek mythology and Mars in its Roman equivalent. Set and Nergal correspond to the warrior archetype in Egyptian and Mesopotamian mythology respectively. In Nordic Germanic mythology, Thor is the equivalent of the warrior archetype. A good example of the warrior archetype in biblical mythology is Samson. Finally, we find Ogun and Shango in African mythology. In modern myths we also find the warrior archetype. In Harry Potter, Harry himself corresponds to it, and his opponent Tom Riddle, better known as Lord Voldemort, corresponds to its pathological form. In Game of Thrones, Arya Stark and Sandor Clegane embody this type.
You go on down the road. Just keep on singing so we know where you are. Leave us be, and I won't kill you.
Bring me one of those chickens.
You got money to pay for it?
You paid for it?
No. But we're the king's men. So, you got money?
Not a penny. I'll still take that chicken.
Tell you what. We'll trade you. One of our little chickens for one of yours.
You're a talker. Listening to talkers makes me thirsty. And hungry. Think I'll take 2 chickens.
You don't seem to understand the situation.
I understand that if any more words come pouring out your cunt mouth, I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.
Point 7. The warrior and the hero's journey. In every project or venture we undertake within this project, we have to deal with challenges and resistance. In order to be successful, we therefore need courage and assertiveness. These are the qualities of the warrior. Within the mythological structure of success, the hero needs the skill of the warrior in order to complete the 5th stage successfully. At this stage, the hero has to face and overcome trials and challenges. For example, he has to defeat dangerous enemies or solve difficult tasks to overcome all kinds of challenges. The mythological figures we mentioned above in point 6 are good examples of people who accept and master such challenges and therefore successfully complete the 5th stage of the hero's journey. By the way, you can find out more about this stage of the hero's journey in our video series about the hero's journey. Link in the description. Point 8. How can you recognize a dissocial or antisocial personality disorder? If you are capable of recognizing the personality archetype of the warrior in a person, it will certainly be easy for you to recognize his pathological manifestation, for his personality traits are even more pronounced and turned out accordingly negatively. The ICD-10 describes the 6 characteristics of a dissocial or antisocial personality disorder under classification F60.2. In DSM-5 classification 301.7, the diagnostic criteria slightly differ from the criteria of ICD-10. In this video we focus on the ICD-10 criteria. You will find the link to the DSM-5 criteria in the description. In addition to the characteristics of a specific personality disorder, F60, see the link in the description, the person has to meet at least 3 of the following 6 criteria in order to be diagnosed as a dissocial or antisocial personality disorder. First criterion: the person is callous and unconcerned for the feeling of others. Second criterion: there is a gross and persistent irresponsibility and disregard for social norms, rules and obligations. Thirdly, he or she is unable to maintain long-term relationships, although they have no difficulty in establishing relationships. Fourth, there is a very low tolerance to frustration and low threshold for aggressive or violent behavior. The fifth criterion is the inability to experience guilt or to learn from experience, especially from punishment. The last criterion is a strong tendency to blame others or to offer plausible rationalizations for their own behavior, which causes the conflict with society. Persistent irritability can be an additional characteristic. Maybe we'll make a video about personality disorders later, perhaps in an extra channel. Simply subscribe to our channel and when the time comes, we will let you know. Or subscribe to our newsletter, please find the link in the description. Someone who suffers from a dissocial or antisocial personality disorder is one of the typically difficult personalities. If the boss, spouse or life partner, a partner or child suffers from this personality disorder, it is usually quite challenging for the environment. So the question arises: how to deal with a balanced or unbalanced warrior? Point 9. Here are a few initial tips. In order to deal well with a warrior, it is important to understand that he respects brave people. You should not allow him to intimidate you, but rather show him that you are confident and ready for a confrontation. To win him over for something, show him the challenging aspect of it. Something he might consider boring can be upgraded by linking it to a challenge or competition. For example, let's see which of us will be the first to complete this task. If you want to learn more about how to better recognize and understand this archetype in yourself and in others, and how to develop the positive aspects of this personality archetype in you, and how to overcome the negative aspects, and how to deal optimally with people in whom this archetype is strong and perhaps unbalanced or pathologically developed, whether in therapy, business, relationship or in private life, then we look forward to meeting you personally at our seminars on the personality archetype. Point 10. How can someone with a dissocial or antisocial problem bring the personality into balance? If the dissocial person wants to bring their imbalances into balance, or if a well-developed warrior wants to expand their skills, or if you want to balance your inner personality archetype of the warrior, it is advisable to develop the complementary archetype of the warrior, namely the archetype of the lover within oneself. Unlike the warrior, the lover strives to develop good human relationships. He focuses on the needs and viewpoints of his counterpart. To learn more about the lover's archetype, watch the video about it on our channel. Do you see yourself as a warrior? Do you know people in your surroundings to whom these personality traits correspond? What do you find particularly difficult in dealing with these people? Which well-known people, real or fictitious ones, with the characteristics of a warrior or those corresponding to the dissocial or antisocial personality disorders do you know? Tell us your answer and ask all your questions in the comments. We will make a video at the end of the series in which we answer your questions. We are looking forward to your comments. If not done already, like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to be always up to date. Thanks a lot and see you soon!